What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, this is going to be a different style of video. Now, this is something that I did not come up with myself. Like, this actual idea spawned from a different community, actually. I saw, if you guys know Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, I'm sure many of you guys do. There's a content creator on the YouTube side of things named Garesh. He actually made a video about this for Dokkan and Dragon Ball Legends related content. I thought it would be a really good idea to do this for Treasure Cruise, specifically because Treasure Cruise is not an easy game, and I think a lot of us can understand that. And still to this day, like, there's lots of people asking questions about how to do certain things, or what certain things mean, or what's the best thing to optimize certain things. So I feel like this will be a really good opportunity to kind of answer back some of those questions that I know a lot of the people in the community have. Now, there are so many comments to go through here. I actually made a post on Twitter, I made one on the community page of my YouTube channel, and I made one on my Facebook page. A lot of people don't know I have a Facebook page. I don't really do anything too crazy there. I mainly just post, you know, my videos and stuff like that there, but it's just another way you guys can get information about when I'm posting videos. I think next time when I ever do this, because I'm definitely going to be doing this type of video again, next time I do this, I'm going to keep it to one platform, just because there's so many comments to go through. It's extremely overwhelming. I don't know how many comments we're going to be able to get to in today's video, but the Facebook section has the least amount of comments on it, so we're going to start off with Facebook, and we're going to scroll through all of the rest of the other ones from YouTube and from Twitter, and hopefully answer as many questions as possible regarding One Piece Treasure Cruise. So let's go ahead and get into it, right? So the first question from Casey says, do you think we need another box overhaul? Personally finding certain units when I have 1300 in my box annoying. Well, that's going to be changed in the future because they're going to have an update soon on JP. Well, it's on JP right now, but it's coming to global soon, where there'll be like a search filter. You can literally use a search bar to if you want to search for Luffy characters, you type in Luffy and then all the Luffys will show up. That will be coming to the game soon, so it's going to be a lot easier to find characters. What about the pain of using tomes and level up materials? Maxing a unit with basic tomes takes way too long. I don't really think that's much of a problem, honestly. I mean, currently we can feed up to 10 items at a time. If they up that to maybe 20 items at a time, that would kind of alleviate some of the problems there. But at the moment, I don't really see that as one of the major issues in the game. Other than that, who do you want to see next as a legend? I'm hoping Kuma, Odin, Orochi, Bonnie, V2 Usopp, Soga King would be cool, V2, and I mean, either of those would make sense. I'm still holding out for Legend Kuma. I think Kuma strongly deserves more representation in the game, especially as a Sugo Fest exclusive. It's been nearly, 6.5 years into the game on the JP side of things? 6.5 years, and we don't have a Legend Kuma? That's a little strange. So thank you, Casey, for that. Moving on to Chris. Do you know how high the chance is of leveling up a potential ability? Should it be increased? Sometimes, especially Legend unit, seems way too long to Rainbow, for at least my opinion. I don't really have too many of those issues myself personally, because obviously I have a lot of tablets, but I think a lot of people out there have that kind of issue. I don't know the exact rate. I think a lot of people say it's between 20 to 30% per tablet that you feed. I would probably agree with that. I honestly think what they should do is just, whenever there's a double skill up, it should just, you know, the double skill up should affect the tablets as well. It should work for support medals. I don't understand why it only works for leveling up the special of a character. It should definitely work for any type of material that you're feeding, in my opinion. That's what they should do. I don't know why Global doesn't have the perma 2x skill up yet. Very strange. Thank you, Chris, for that. Luis says, what kind of new mechanics or character abilities, captain ability, do you think they can introduce? That is a very difficult one. I don't really want to waste too much time with, you know, specific things that they could introduce into the game. But I mean, I don't really know off the top of my head, because I'd have to have a really deep think about it. I haven't looked at any of these questions, by the way, before recording this, so I haven't come up with predetermined answers here. But one thing I just want to see in the game is give super evolutions to dual units, because they haven't done it yet, and I think a lot of the dual units definitely deserve it. You know, Luffy Ace, Shirahoshi Mancherry, Whitebeard Marco, just to name a couple. Those ones definitely need super evolutions. I think there'll be a point where it is impossible to advance due to the difficulty of the game. I strongly disagree with that. I'd say, you know, when we hit that roadblock of the Sabo Koala release on One Piece Treasure Cruise, there was like a lot of content that was releasing that was centered around that character, and basically if you didn't have him and you didn't have them as a friend captain, it was very difficult to progress through content. They've kind of gone past that now. They haven't really come to a roadblock like that lately, where it's like, if you don't have the new character on your team, you cannot clear this content. That's definitely not a thing nowadays, so I kind of disagree there. Greetings from Mexico. Shout out to Mexico. Thank you for the question. So, good morning. What happens to your account if it's transfer banned and I try to transfer it to another phone? Well, you can't, because it's locked to that device. Do I lose the account if I have it on my old phone, or will it still be there? It'll be stuck on your old phone and you can't transfer at all. It is stuck to your device, unfortunately. Hey, Toadskii, there is an imposter out there using your exact name. He or she is just at pirate level 935. You aware of that? Yes, I have noticed that a lot of people have been telling me about that on Pirate Rumble. A lot of people utilizing my name to, you know, potentially get more people to attack them in Pirate Rumble. I mean, look, it is what it is. People can do what they want, but hey, you know, hopefully it's successful for you. I don't really have much else to say about that. You know, people can do what they want. All right, next question. Do you think we'll ever get crossovers in the future like the Freeze one in 2016? I think that was a little bit of an interesting one because Dokkan Battle was nowhere near as popular as it is now back in 2016. So for them to introduce like another type of crossover event, I mean, I would like them to do that. But if they were going to do it, I feel like it'd have to be with another massive IP. I don't think they'd do some sort of crossover with like a random anime that's somewhat popular within the last 6 months or something like that. I feel like if they're going to do a crossover, it has to be with the big boys. And if they are going to do it, I mean, I would be totally fine with them doing it again with Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle or any other major IP or any other type of huge gacha game they need to do it with. But are they ever going to do it? Probably not at this point. But if they are going to do it, it has to be a big IP. Fabio says, how many pulls have you done on this Sugo? I think in total, I did at least 20. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know he's referring to the Snake Man Sugo, but it was around 20 overall between all the banners, I think. It might have been a bit more than that. Next is, when do you think the first Dual Legend 6+ is? And who do you think it is? And when do you think it is? I don't know when, as I just mentioned before. I really want to see Luffy Ace, Whitebeard Marco, or Shirahoshi Manchuri. Those three in particular, I think deserve the Super Evolution the most. Chat with other players. Does that mean like, is that a feature you want to see? Chatting with other players? I mean, it would be cool, but I don't think it's like a necessity in the game considering how amazing the community is on Discord, Reddit. There's a lot of ways to communicate with players, and I mean, that would be a cool way to do it as well, but I think that the other applications that are around the community, it's fine. We don't really need chat in-game. And also, when will the next summon pulls results interface update like JP? Okay, so a lot of people who don't know this, but on JP, there was an update recently where after you do a multi-pull, there's like an end screen. So after the 11th poster comes down, and you see your character, when you tap to the next screen, it'll be like an overview of your multi that you did. So it's an easy way to screenshot your multi and share it around to other people. It'll just be whenever the next big update is on global. I'm not really too sure when that is, but it'll just be in the next major update. So those are all the comments here on Facebook. So thank you to everyone on Facebook for sending those comments through. Let's move over to Twitter. All right, so Twitter is where I initially posted this, and then it was from here. I'm like, okay, maybe I could post this to the other platforms, but I think the YouTube one is the one where we have a lot of people there. So let's see how we go here. Orbital says, also, are you down for... Okay, so his first question is here, and then he says, also. So, what would be a fun game mode to come up with? Anything possible, no limits? Again, I haven't come up with anything off the top of my head. A new game mode? I mean, like, they just added Pirate Rumble. I don't really know what they could do from here. I mean, I've been wanting something in the game for a really long time, and that's, like, a guild system where you and potentially, let's say, up to 20 other accounts can partner up in, like, a guild or, like, an alliance. I think that makes a lot more sense in terms of the world of One Piece, like, an alliance with other pirate crews, with other accounts, and, like, it doesn't have to be an ultra-competitive thing. It can just be, you know, throughout an entire month period, whoever clears X content the most, or maybe there's like a goal each month, and whoever's alliance does the most work towards that goal gets rewards like Pirate Rumble scrolls or support medals, rainbow gems, limit break materials, something like that. I think would be pretty interesting. I don't really know if that would ever come into the game, but it'd be something that would be pretty cool. Also, are you down for a 9 red scabbard crew legend? I don't know why a lot of people want to see that as a crew legend. I mean, I can understand sort of why, but at the same time, it's 9 characters in one unit. I don't see it being a thing. I think that's really stupid. I would just like to see individual legends of all of those characters at some point. But I don't really want to see them as a crew legend. And what would be your concept for this unit? I mean, I don't know. It'd have to be slasher related at some point. Yeah, slasher something. Slasher free spirit. I don't know. Again, I'm not really coming up at the top of my head with like new specific things. I just want to answer your questions that you guys may have. I don't want you guys to be asking me questions about specific things. I want to answer your questions so you guys gain more knowledge here, right? So Mecha Gary, shout out to Mecha Gary, says, you're one of the better team builders in OPTC. I wouldn't say that. And you always put your videos right when content drops. What is your process for building teams in OPTC? Okay, we can answer this question. So in order to understand what is going on in terms of the content content release. So what I like to do is I go to GameWith. GameWith is a Japanese website that essentially will report on every new piece of content that drops in the game. So from here, we can actually, this specific page is for raid bosses, but they have information on like Colosseums and like special event stuff. I'll leave a link to GameWith's website down below in the video description for you guys. So for here in particular, like this is their raid boss page, as I mentioned, and obviously each day of the week it gives you different types of raids. So hypothetically, if we want like Raid Jinbei, for example, here's a 9-star difficulty, so we can go ahead and check over here, and we can actually see like what the bosses actually do. So on the 3rd floor, you can see that, you know, there's a great barrier, there's immunity, you can see how much HP there is, you can see what the bosses actually do here. So GameWith do an amazing job with reporting a lot of the major information that you need to know. And from here, then you can also go ahead and use another resource, the One Piece Treasure Cruise database, which I honestly use almost on a daily basis. This resource is one of the most vital pieces of equipment that you guys can go ahead and use to assist in team building, because this particular website, which will also be in the video description, is so amazing for filtering out certain characters, right? So in a hypothetical situation, let's say we're going up against Raid Jinbei. Let's say here on this stage here, you need a character that removes increased defense because of this. You know, you can't use a defense reducer. It has to be a character that removes the blue shield buff. So we can go over to the database and go to filter by specials, and then we can scroll down to enemy increased defense reducers. We can filter by attack, so we can have the highest attack characters at the top that remove it. And what if we want a specific class? Let's say we're building a cerebral team. We can filter by cerebral characters that reduce increased defense. So you got Vivi Rebecca, you've got this special edition Viola, you've got this Vinsmoke Ichiji, which is a treasure map rare recruit, you've got this rare recruit Nico Robin. There's lots of different options here, right? So this is just like the main way that I figure out in terms of, you know, what teams I want to build, what characters I need. And then there's another really cool thing with the database is you can go to the bottom star here, and there's lots of different things you can do. You can go to the damage calculator and figure out a team here on the damage calculator. So I don't know what the hell I was doing here, so let's just reset this. So again, you know, as I said, you know, if you wanted to filter and find certain things, so as I said, these are cerebral characters that remove increased defense. Mr. 1 is a pretty decent option, so we could literally go Mr. 1. If I can find him, Mr. 1 should be here. Here he is. And we can put our whole team in here. We can see how much damage we deal. We can activate our special abilities as well. It's an amazing resource, and it's essentially the way that I personally build teams. And if you guys want to go ahead and do that, I would suggest doing it. Makes it a lot easier for like visualizing what you want to do. And I feel like it's faster to build teams like this rather than using the filter in game. The filter in game is actually quite fine, especially if you don't have access to the website like on hand, but that's one of the main ways that I'll be going about building teams. So next one, do you miss me playing with you? Yeah, dude, Archer was, for those who don't know, Archer used to play a long time ago, and it's been a long time since he's played, but he still likes to stay in tune with what's going on, which is awesome, so shout out to Archer. Next question, Crollo says, one of these, I'd love to know your top 3 characters in the series, or just top 3 characters that don't have any type of legend that you want to see get one. I don't really know. Top 3 characters in the series? Are you saying like in the series of One Piece or the series of One Piece Treasure Cruise? Because it's a little bit different. But for characters that I want to see get a legend, definitely Kuma. Moria deserves one. And then another character that doesn't have a legend yet. I mean, Odin, I suppose. Like, everyone wants to see Odin get a Sugo Fest exclusive at some point. But like, there's even other characters that already have legends that I want to see get new variations, like V2 NL, V2 Crocodile, V2 Kizaru. All of those characters definitely deserve like V2s, and it's been so long since they've had their initial release, they definitely deserve one. And I don't know why we don't have them yet. But those 3 in particular need more representation, and then Kuma, Moria, and Odin. Those 3 in particular would love to see get legends in the game, for sure. Alex says, could you please make Treasure Map drop more limit break materials on a consistent basis? I mean, I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry, my friend. He also says, could One Piece Treasure Cruise update their auto feature on the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Crosses? Oh, to the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Crosses. I mean, the game is a little bit different. The gameplay is completely different between 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross and One Piece Treasure Cruise. So I feel like the auto feature, I mean, I can understand what he means in terms of the auto feature, because honestly, it'd be cool if the auto feature kind of like mapped the way that you previously ran a piece of content. Like, imagine if like you can't play auto until you first clear content for the first time, and then it remembers how you cleared the content, and it literally just copied the same way that you tapped. I mean, I don't know if they could ever do that, but that would be super interesting if they were able to do that. Or something else that I was also thinking about, like, what if they did skip tickets? Like, after you cleared a piece of content, you could actually use a skip ticket to just auto clear it for you, and you just get all the drop rewards for doing it. I think that would be pretty cool, but again, like, kind of restrict it to maybe being a really rare item that you can't use too often, or maybe like you have to spend a certain resource in order to get the ticket. I don't really know, but skip tickets would be interesting. We'll go Gintoki. VGC says, what are your thoughts on Limit Break expansion? I personally think it's a great idea, but not really well developed. High cost, low reward. Totally agree. I think the amount of materials that it costs to expand a legend is ridiculous. And honestly, what it should be, whatever materials a character requires to max Limit Break, just make it the same amount to just do their expansion, because the amount to expand is just utterly ridiculous and completely unacceptable. I mean, I know that for rare recruits, treasure map characters, it's a lot easier to expand them. They don't really cost that many materials at all, but for Sugo Fest exclusives, no, it takes nearly all of your materials away from you. And the problem with that is that characters that expand don't even get that much of a buff in the long run. I mean, it's nice to have them with the buff, but realistically, it's not like the difference between life and death with having an expansion and not having an expansion. Depends on the character though. Some characters get a lot of cooldown, some characters get really awesome abilities, some characters get buffed captain abilities. It depends on the situation, but for the most part, expansion isn't a necessity in the game. But I do think that they should definitely enhance it in some fashion. Potentially reducing the cost of the expansion would definitely be one of the best things that I would say would be good in terms of improving the system as a whole. My man Captain Pappy says, when am I going to be featured in a video? There we go. You've been featured right now, Pappy. I hope you're happy. There we go. My man Pappy. Next question says, Nightmare says, what if we could spend gems or Rayleigh points for treasure map tickets so you can max TM units faster, limit break materials, and maybe even get previous Kizuna units? I don't know about that specifically, but I do think that they need to do something with the Rayleigh's Bazaar, because currently, as an endgame player who spends a lot on Sugo Fest, I currently have, like, if I actually like went ahead and sold all my dupe legends in my box, I would have like 1.5 to 2 million Rayleigh points in my account right now. And there's nothing really to use it on. I mean, like, every month with the refresh, we can buy like the new tickets, we can buy the almighty manuals, cotton candy, I suppose, but it doesn't really cost that much in the long run, considering the type of players that we are and we spend a lot. But it would be cool if there was like something specific that we could purchase only from the Rayleigh's Bazaar. I don't really know specifically what it could be though. I mean, he says, spend gems or Rayleigh points for TM tickets, so you can get like the limit break materials. I mean, that would be interesting. I don't know specifically, like, exchange Rayleigh points for blue tickets, which then you go ahead and spend for the treasure map materials. It should just be like, buy treasure map materials from the Rayleigh's Bazaar as well. Just make it multiple different currencies you can use to purchase the materials, because we all know expanding legends is extremely difficult to do. And I feel like if they just did that, I mean, a lot of people would spend their Rayleigh points to max out their legends. That's for sure. I know I would be doing that for sure. Like, there's so many characters I would love to do so I can make showcase videos on. I just don't have materials for them. And not everyone can just farm 24/7 for materials on treasure map. It's just not a thing you can do. So I completely agree. TM tickets in Chopper Man missions, or just add in and ranking accordingly. I literally went back to OPTC and I'm struggling to farm all the units in TM and Kizuna. Yeah, that's something that they also need to fix, is like people that come back to the game. I know there was a couple people I've been talking to recently who have come back into the game with the latest celebration, and they've found that, you know, maxing all these characters is extremely difficult to do, and picking up, you know, all the previous Kizuna units, which is extremely difficult to do as well, because sometimes they're just literally not available, and getting enough blue tickets from the treasure map to max out previous treasure map characters that you may have missed. It is difficult to do. I completely understand that. So some sort of feature to help players pick up some of those older characters again would be nice. But at the same time, like, you know, that's your fault for not playing at the end of the day as well. But it's the characters in the treasure map and the Kizuna are like not uber required characters, but, you know, I can understand why people would be upset about not getting access to them for sure. I completely understand that. Minax says, super generic, but where do you think OPTC is right now compared to other gachas? And would there be anything you would change regarding content, i.e. how it's done, releases, boosters? I think we talked about this on the latest Good, Great, Perfect podcast, which should be coming out relatively soon. But the terms of the way that they release like content in the game is really weird. Like, 1 week you'll have absolutely nothing to do, and then the week after you will have back-to-back like content releases with no break at all. So I don't really know who is behind the release scheduling of content, but it needs to be overhauled a little bit. Like, definitely spread content throughout a month a lot more evenly and more balanced compared to the way that it's done previously. Like, even with this version 10.0 celebration, the first like week of the event, we had like Kizuna Carrot, Raid Croc, we had the Straw Hat related stuff, and then it went into Treasure Hunt, which was also quite busy. But like the first day of Treasure Hunt, most people completed all of the Chopper Man mission stuff on the first day, and then we had nothing to do for like 5-6 days until the treasure map came out. Unfortunately, throughout this month, we didn't have the rehash of the GARP challenges where people could go ahead and farm them again to get more rainbow gems. I don't know why they did that, considering it is a celebration where people want to be spending their rainbow gems. I feel like it would be a perfect opportunity to rehash the GARP missions for people to clear them with the new characters that they would have just pulled for, and then go ahead and, you know, earn more gems to spend them on the Sugo Fest again. I don't know why they didn't do that. Very, very strange. And it would have given us something to do throughout that week where we had the treasure hunt, where most people completed it in the first, 2 to 3 days. We had something to do over that time period before treasure map came out. I don't know why they did it. You know, there's so many things in this game in terms of content releases that needs to be fixed. I mean, even like 100% skill up, right? 100% skill up for 24 hours on the first day of the Sugo when part 3 and 4 came out. 100% skill up for the first day, and then nothing. We don't even have a skill up now when the treasure map is out. Like, it doesn't make sense. Obviously, I can't do anything about that, but something needs to be changed there. Very, very weird, man. But how is OPTC right now compared to other gachas? It's interesting, right? Because within the version 10.0 celebration with the release of Snake Man, Katakuri, Blackbeard, and Sabo, we actually reached like top 20, top 10 in a few different countries in terms of top grossing for app rankings, which is pretty surprising. During the Shanks Crew Sugo, again, we ranked in like top 10, top 20 in a few countries, which is really surprising for a game like Treasure Cruise, which is, nearing, was it now, like 6.5 years old in Japan. It's like 5.5, yeah, almost 6 years old on global. So it's crazy that a game that old is still providing those type of numbers, right? But unfortunately, those type of numbers will only happen during those big celebration Sugo fests. On generic batch releases, that's never going to happen. It's only during these big celebratory Sugo fests that will happen. So, I mean, I think that in terms of financially, the game is still providing what Bandai wants it to do. And in terms of Treasure Cruise being a One Piece game, it is the best performing One Piece game financially in Bandai's history. I mean, we had Chris, one of the former Bandai employees, on the Good, Great, Perfect podcast, and he confirmed that. He did say that Treasure Cruise is the best performing One Piece game in Bandai's history, which is crazy to hear, right? And it's totally true. It's a gacha game. It's the way that they're kind of designed, right? They just perform way better than console games. So financially, in terms of a One Piece side of things, unless if they release another One Piece game that just will do way more numbers compared to Treasure Cruise, I think Treasure Cruise is going to be sticking around for a while. So Raymark says, can you please release another permanent island? Can I release? I mean, I can't do anything. Where we can farm limit break materials like at least once per day. I totally agree. Would love to see that. The need for limit break materials are much higher now with all the great units and keyed limit breaks. Completely agree. That should happen. I don't know why it hasn't. Even if it's like, only on weekends you can farm it, that would be fine too. He also says, can you optimize the friend captain list so we can rent any legend in the game just by using something like a search bar? So even if we don't have a specific unit, we can still use them. For example, can we pay 100 friend points or 1,000 berries for every friend captain we borrow? So are you saying like, okay, so hypothetically, if you wanted to see, I don't know, let's say you wanted a Snake Man friend captain, but you didn't have any friends that had Snake Man, could you say like, oh, can I use some Ray points to then rent a friend captain Snake Man? I think that's what you're saying. That would be pretty interesting, because definitely in my eyes as well, like when I was trying to showcase version 1 Fujitora, no one was using version 1 Fujitora as a captain. So I completely understand that. That would be kind of cool if they were able to do that, especially with keyed limit break. Well, specifically, I would love to see if that was going to be a feature, the character that you rent has to be max cotton candy, max limit break, max everything. Because, like Legend Tesoro, for example, is only good with his key limit break. If you want to go ahead and use a Tesoro friend captain, it has to be key limit break. Otherwise, it's not worth using. So, yeah, I mean, it would be good, but if it was implemented poorly, then it'd be a really bad system. Jacob says, how much do you spend monthly on the game, and when did you start doing that? I mean, I can't really tell you because it does change from month to month. Like in a month like this, obviously I would have spent more than usual, but if there's only like really small batch releases, I don't really spend that much on the game, really. But during big celebrations, yeah, I'll be spending a decent amount. Flamin says, what is better in PvP, int or slasher team? I think if you had like 2 teams completely maxed out, I think int is better, 100%. Can you please go into a little bit more depth on PvP mechanics, like it does attack up, effect ability damage? Yes, it does. Or PvP matches even live? No, they're not like pre-recorded, but like as soon as you confirm that, it kind of generates who's gonna be the winner already. I don't really know if that answers the question or not, but basically it's not like a live match. You're not playing against another person, you're playing against a bot, essentially. Are they recorded simulations? Yeah, pretty much. When you are fighting opponents, are you fighting their defensive teams or offensive teams? So when you're fighting other people, you're fighting their defensive teams. The only time offensive teams are used is when you are playing that team. So you will never ever play against another person's offensive team, unless if obviously their offense and defense team are the same. But yeah, whenever you play against someone, it's always their defense team that they've set. What do most of the buffs even do? I mean, you might have to be a bit more specific than that, but like, you have to be a bit more specific. Like, obviously, if there's like miss chance up, the enemies have a higher chance of, you know, with their normal attacks missing you, so you are not going to be taking damage. Crit, for when you do normal attacks, you can do more damage with a crit. It's a little bit, you have to be more specific with the question, unfortunately, but hopefully that answered some of the questions that you had there, Papa Vulture. Raymark says, can we not make the 2-time special up a permanent upgrade to the game? Completely agree, as we touched on a little earlier. Emac says, can you give me some spotlight on Indonesian players? I mean, shout out to Indonesia. Shout out to Indonesian One Piece Treasure Cruise players. Hi, I'm new to OPTC, and I love your channel. Appreciated that. Do you think I should try to spend power-ups on characters that I can get from Friend Point Recruit or the story? Or is it just a waste, and I should only spend power-ups on characters that I get from recruit pools? Now, it's a little bit different. What do you mean by like power-ups? Are you talking about like cotton candy? Like cotton candy? Feed to any character that you use a lot, because if you're using a character a lot, it might mean because they're really powerful, they've got a really nice utility special. Typically, you should probably feed cotton candy to those characters. If you're limit breaking them, yeah, a lot of characters are really good. And remember, if a character is free to play, you can rainbow them out relatively easily, which will give you a lot of benefits by doing that. So yeah, if it's a free to play character and you are using them a lot, you should probably do that and limit break them. If I don't really know what else you're talking about in terms of like power ups. If you talk about like socket books, for example, like the powers, yeah, sometimes you may need to do it, but remember, if they're free to play characters that they're farmable, you probably shouldn't be spending too many resources on them, like the powers, like the forbidden tomes, for example. You probably shouldn't be spending those, like support medals, for example. You wouldn't be spending those on free to play units, because they're farmable, of course. So yeah, most of the time, most of the resources in the game are dedicated to the rare recruits and the Sugo Fest exclusives, but there may be some instances where you need to use them on free-to-play characters as well. Dawson says, is there a way that I can optimize Luffy, Zoro, Sober Mask, and V3 Law on a team together? I love all 3 of those legends and really want to use them together. I don't think utilizing Luffy, Zoro, and V3 Law together is a really good option. Both are actually free spirit captains, and both of which are orb boosters, both of which are quote-unquote chain lockers. So I don't think utilizing those 2 on the team together, you either use Luffy, Zoro, and Sober Mask together, or you use V3 Law and Sober Mask together. I'm a big fan of V3 Law plus Sober Mask as a sub. Perfect combination. That's what I would go with personally. Gastino says, character class type. I'm sorry, I don't... I'm sorry, man, I don't know what that means. Character class type? You mean like super type, but for classes? I don't know, maybe. That'd be cool. Raymark again with another question. Will you be releasing a 2x tablet power-up in the future? I don't know why he's saying you. I don't do anything. I mean, look, as I said, double skill up should be affecting tablets. I totally agree with that. Gavin says, do the ambush raids have a schedule? I can't for the life of me spawn Lin. Yes, they do have a schedule. You have to check the in-game notice, because it does rotate. Like 1 week it'll be one character, and then the next week it'll be a different character. You have to make sure to check the notice board, because they will update that when new characters are live. So you have to be very careful and make sure to pick and choose what weeks you're farming, because certain characters will only be available during certain weeks. Mean Machine says, are you planning to release a free-to-play replacement for Coliseum Kid? Well, actually, now that you mention that, if we go over to the One Piece Treasure Cruise database, we can actually have a look at some replacements for Coliseum Kid. So let's go over to special filters. Where is end of turn damage dealers? We can actually go ahead and, here it is, end of turn damage dealers. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit difficult for Kid, because Kid is like a special case, because his end of turn damage is like absurdly high, 350 times his attack. That is quite strong. Actually, is Kaido not even listed under this? I guess he's probably not. But there is actually a new character that released recently on Japan, which again is like a new version of Kid. And he's actually really good. This brand new Kizuna Kid that's coming out, and he actually does like end of turn damage for 4 turns, 200 times his attack in damage. So that's a pretty good replacement for Colosseum Kid. But again, the number 1 replacement for Colosseum Kid is actually this guy. Legend Kaido is the best replacement for Colosseum Kid. Either way, let's move on. Shout out to Me Machine as well. If Crew Legends or Dual Legends ever get 6+, what you would like to be added to their upgrade? More unique swaps or buffed captain effects? Do you think 6+ could be improved? Add captain actions or super typing? Look, I just want to get this out of the way. If a character is a Dual Legend, they will never have a captain action or a super type, because they both overlap in terms of the functionality of the character. Characters will not have 2 of those things. But for Dual Legends specifically, if they ever did get a 6+, of course, captain effect, special ability, and the switch effect should all be buffed on the character, 100%. All facets of the character need to be buffed, 100%. Next question. On Pirate Festival, dual characters don't receive type buff or debuff. Every test I do, none of the types count. Yes, that is 100% true. Dual characters in Pirate Rumble do not classify themselves as any color. They are kind of like a colorless or a typeless character. So when you're using dual characters, you have to be very careful. Only really use them on class-based teams. That's where they're going to be the most effective, or rainbow-ish teams, or sometimes, you know, characters where sometimes teams where they're not even buffing them. It's still not too bad if the character is like extremely OP. Like, for example, Shanks' crew is a really nice defensive style unit that's able to health cut the enemy and buff your team's defense. So in that kind of instance, you can kind of chuck him on a lot of different teams. But yeah, he is not classified. Shanks' crew specifically is not classified as a quick or a side character, so make sure to use him effectively. Don't put him on teams where you think he's going to be boosted, because he might not be. You have to be very careful. Why Toadskii's favorite OPTC YouTuber? I appreciate that, Daniel. I don't know why I'm your favorite, but I appreciate the support, homie. Thank you. Yo, dude, in your opinion, who are the 10 best legends in the game right now? You should go check out my tier list. Go check out my tier list. That's what you should do. Michael Fire says, the loading times are sometimes far too long. I 100% agree. That should finally be adjusted. Yes, I agree. Prices such as those for TM should be completely claimable with one click. Prices such as those from Treasure Map. Oh, I see what you're saying. Are you saying like in your mailbox, right? For example, like if you're in your mailbox and you've got a bunch of mails that give you rewards, there should be like a collect all button. Yeah, I think that would be really good as well. But then again, you got to remember that some of the mails are like, you have to specifically redeem one mail at a time. Like if it's a rare recruit pool, they wouldn't be able to like stack all of them and you can do back-to-back single pulls. They wouldn't be able to do that just because it wouldn't make sense. It has to be like a single pull, like with every single mail. But if it's like, you know, gems, berries, tablets, all of those, yeah, you should be able to get with one click. I agree. Next question. Can I beat my depression by playing OPTC? Probably not. That's probably going to provide an adverse effect compared to what you're hoping there, unfortunately. I know this one is for more people who make the game, but why do we keep getting V3 and V4 of characters, but there are so many characters that don't get legends, like Smoothie or Dragon? It's probably a financial thing in terms of like, if they release a character such as Smoothie, that character is no way going to be receiving as much support financially compared to a new Luffy, a new Sabo, a new Ace character, a new Law character. So you can kind of understand that. But I do agree that they should have more representation for different characters in the game. As I mentioned a little earlier, NL, Crocodile, those characters specifically, Kizaru, need V2s, but they just haven't done it yet. I don't understand why, but that needs to happen. I do agree. I do agree. I've been playing the game for a while and I still don't understand what terms like color affinity mean and what exactly it does. Okay, so you guys know that if you have a strength character, a red character, attacking a green character, a dex character, it does double damage. We can kind of all understand that. If they have type advantage, they do double damage. So what color affinity does is that damage that is type advantageous is multiplied by a certain factor. So if you've got a character that is 2 times color affinity, your character that would have type advantage, which would typically do double damage, is doing 4 times damage instead. That's essentially what color affinity is. And you got to remember though that also works in the reverse. So if you got a strength character attacking a quick character, which typically you're doing half damage, color affinity affects in the reverse order as well. So normally doing half damage, you're going to be doing a quarter of your damage. So you got to be careful in the way that you use it, but color affinity is a very useful buff in the game. Good morning. Okay, good morning, Jesse. What happens to your account? Okay, I've already answered that one. I've already answered that one on the other one. Is it possible to raise up the number when we exchange Kizuna tickets? I mean, 10. Oh, okay, so you're saying, yeah, exchanging 10 tickets at a time on Kizuna? Yeah, it's complete trash. I hate it so much. Needs to be buffed. Is global easier than JP? Because that's the feeling I've been having. Yes, it is. It's way more competitive on JP. Players on JP grind a lot harder than global players, and a lot of people kind of disagree with that. I know some people do disagree with it, and if you do disagree with it, you eat glue, because JP players are way more hardcore than global players. But yeah, it is. Global is easier to play. Yes, it is. So should I probably know by now, but what is the best way to utilize cotton candy? Should I just use plus 10 to 100 cotton candy on units, or use them where you can? I don't really understand the question specifically. Like, again, if there's a character you use a lot, you want to just max out their cotton candy. You just, I guess that's kind of it. I don't really understand what you mean by feeding plus 10 to 100 cotton candy. Like, if you're going to feed cotton candy to a character, yeah, you want to feed him all of your cotton candy. Like, max them out completely as far as they can go. Do you think the addition of PvP after so many years to this game was necessary? Probably not. And will it split the player base into PvE and PvP like many other gachas? No, it won't. Also, the friends list needs a revamp badly. Finding friends for units you don't own is nearly impossible. Yeah, I do agree. It's always a big pain when you don't have a character and you want a specific friend captain, like in Treasure Map, when you want to have a Treasure Map point booster friend captain. It really, really sucks. Yeah, I do agree, but honestly, if you compare the friends list system on One Piece Treasure Cruise and compare it to a lot of other gacha games, Treasure Cruise is actually doing really well in the friend system department, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But I think your main complaint literally is just this: finding friends for units you don't have is nearly impossible. Yes, but at the end of the day, if you really want to find specific friends, you do have to try and just add up the type of people that would have those type of characters. That's what you should be doing, and there's plenty of avenues to do that: Discord, Reddit, etc. There's plenty of ways to find really good friends, but that specifically, yeah, I can understand that being a problem. Felix says, is it worth to level up the Pirate Festival Special of V3 Kano to max, or is it a waste since level 8 already does 10k damage? That's actually a really, really good point. I would say, yeah, you don't need to max it out. Like, if you're finding that level 8 is already doing what you want it to do, then there's no real reason to go to 10k. Unless it's specifically you're coming up against like an extremely tanky team, but at that point you want to be running like health cutters as well. But again, you know, like, you're kind of right, actually. You're kind of right. If he's already level 8 and he's doing 10k damage, you kind of don't need to level up any further than that. Okay, so Matt says, what changes do you think could be made to Treasure Map? I've been on the game for 4 years now, and I think it's one thing that occasionally drives me away from playing it. Yeah, I can understand that. Team grind is too repetitive, yet the rewards are so good. You really miss out on not doing it. Yeah, okay, so what they need to do for Treasure Map is make it so that you don't have to clear the mini bosses every time you clear it. I think the way they should do it is you only have to clear the mini bosses every 5 to 10 maps. So maybe like every 10 maps, or like every secret map that you encounter, you have to beat the mini bosses. But outside of that, you do not have to clear the mini bosses. Maybe like the very first time you play Treasure Map, yeah, you should clear them, but then every 5 levels, you have to clear them. I think just by doing that, it speeds up the process so much, so that you only have to just go in the map, get to the end, fight the main boss, maybe fight the intrusion boss as well, and that's it. But those 4 mini bosses you have to play before the final boss, it's such a drag, and it just extends the duration so much. Like, I do think that, like, you should still select your team and say okay, but then it auto fights it for you, or it just says like, battle complete, here's your rewards, and then you can just move on, get to the final battle. Because if you just get rid of the mini bosses altogether, that makes Treasure Map so much more enjoyable. You know, some people say traversing along the map is a big downside. In some components, yes, but you got to remember that you are getting some pretty decent rewards by doing so. And it's the stamina system. They have to have some sort of way to to stop you from playing, unless if you want to keep using rainbow gems. So I think just by doing that alone will be a huge change to the game, and would make it a little bit more enjoyable for players. So there's lots of ways you could go about it though. Lots of ways you could change it, but that's just one. Santiago says, best way to use training points, and when is it better to sell a unit to the Bazaar or use it for limit break and support? You should never sell a unit to the Bazaar unless if that character is completely rainbowed out. That's what I would say anyway. If you don't have the limit break materials to limit break a character to then feed the copy, you should save that copy until you're able to do so, because some characters, like you may not know, are going to be so useful in the future just by rainbowing them out. So I would say you shouldn't be feeding characters to the Bazaar unless if they're rainbowed out. That's what I would suggest. But there are some characters obviously that are just completely useless, like, and it comes down to like understanding what the character does. But I'd say to be on the safe side, you should literally like rainbow out every character you possibly can before selling it to the Rayleigh Bazaar. That's what I would suggest. Charlie says, what would you change / add to PvP in order to make it more fun, or at least the better rewards? I think that the rewards that they give out for each block A, B, and C are complete trash. They need to be overhauled or like doubled or tripled, because the rewards are just so bad. Like, there's no point in gemming in block A, B, or C, and if you do it, then you eat glue. There's no reason to do it. If you want to gem on the championship, yeah, that's fine. It's the championship. But if you're doing it on block A, B, and C, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? The rewards are so bad in block A, B, and C. So just by doing that is a huge change. Harry says, what are the best double special activation specials you would recommend maxing out? Well, we do have the database up on the side here. So if we go to limit break filters and then we go to double special activation, we can filter. I'm just going to filter by attack for now. Smoothie is really good. This Shanks is free to play. He is very good. That's the treasure map Shanks. No, Big Mom's not really used that much. Perospero is really good. I would recommend that. The free-to-play Foxfire Kindemon's not bad. This Opera's not too bad either, a pretty good choice. The recent Doflamingo that just dropped is actually not too bad either, but he's probably not going to see that much play, unfortunately. This Kizuna Okiku is really useful. That's a free-to-play Brook. This Ryuma doesn't see much play. This Okiku's really good. Rare Recruit Okiku. She's a color affinity booster and an orb blocker. And also reduces 2 turns of Bind and Despair. Yeah, that Okiku's very good. Treasure Map VV's not bad. Halloween Boa Hancock is not bad. Oh, this Kuma is really good. This Psy Rare Recruit one, because he reduces 7 turns of Bind and Despair with double special activation. 14 turns of Bind and Despair. You get HP recovery, and you have a chance to blow away enemies. So that's pretty cool, right? Then what else do we have here? Raid Bellamy's not bad. Daifuku's not bad. Oh, Ein for sure. Ein, if you're going to do any character, this character is one you should do. One of the best recruits in the game. Really, really good. Coliseum Komurasaki's not bad. This Kamei's not bad either. So, any of those ones that I mentioned are pretty good. Alright, next one. How much longer do you think they can keep releasing new units and content before there's just too many versions of the same character to keep them unique and keep players interested? Basically, how long do you think the game's lifespan is? They can keep going forever, dude. They could literally release like a V50 Luffy as a legend and people will still buy the Luffy, man. It'll still happen. I think, I don't really understand the question, really, because they've been doing it for almost 7 years now, and I don't think they're going to stop. Nelson says, do you perhaps believe in the concept of the best legend in the game should more coincide with the most convenient legend, as any legend can handle most content with the right team building? Well, I don't really think that there really isn't a real good name. I don't really believe in that thing of the best legend. I mean, we say it a lot, like, oh, this character is like the best legend in the game, but it's just mainly in terms of how easy are they to use at clearing content, which I guess is what you're saying is like most convenient legend. Because we say at this point, like Shanks crew or Luffy Sanji on JP are like the best legend because they're rainbow, they have great utility specials or powerful special abilities. I still think Shanks crew is maybe slightly better than Luffy Sanji just because his captain ability is like way better utility wise. But both characters of those that I just mentioned are like the best characters because they are rainbow and just have a lot of things available in that one character. So I don't really know how to convincingly answer this question, but like, we just say the best legend in the game because it helps out a lot of people, like in a broader sense. Like, oh yeah, this character is really good. If you pull them, be very happy because this character can literally do everything, right? It's basically what we're saying. Like, if we say if a newer player doesn't know that Shanks is really good, we just say, oh yeah, he's the best legend in the game. because it's just easy for people to understand. Yeah, they're the best legend, you know, be happy with that. He's amazing. He can do a lot of really good things. You can run whatever you want as a sub for him, give or take. So that's mainly why we say those type of things. Next question, what should I do with the characters I never use? Old Islands, Coliseum story characters. Just keep them in your character box. You just never know when they're going to be useful. Trust me, you just never know. Next question, how do I know the order of the attacks? Who should I start and end in order to reach the higher damage possible? Again, that's very situational because it all depends on type advantage. It depends on your character's attack stat. Are you using a chain booster? Are you using a chain locker? There's lots of different components in that. I don't really know how to convincingly answer that question, but yeah, it's totally situational depending on your team as well. Like if you got a chain boosting captain, you want to start with this character and with that character. Some characters have higher attack stats, so you want to end with this character later down in the chain rather than at the start of the chain. If this character's got color affinity, maybe this character doesn't have color affinity. You have to be very careful, and it's very situational. Next question. What are the best Tome slots to choose from, and which unit should I be focusing on Limit Break first? Limit Break, focus on the characters you use all the time. If there's a character that you use a lot, typically that's one you want to max out because they have a really good effect that's going to help you clear content. That's what I would suggest. Unless if like a character has like a really good Limit Break crewmate effect or a really good Limit Break captain ability or something like that, right? But most of the time, if it's a character you use a lot, it's a character you want to probably max out. And then for best Tome slots to choose from, so I assume you're talking about these specifically? Well, it really depends on the situation, but in most of the time, you want to be going with this. But it really depends on the character as well, because if you got a character like this, for example, like Legend Carrot with her captain ability, you got to read it, but it says that damage reducing effects do not work when she is a captain. So if you got a character that says reduce damage taken by like 50%, it won't work under Carrot. So in her situation, you want to run something like this, right? With orbs. Most of the time you want damage reduction, but sometimes where damage reducing effects doesn't matter. Like if you get a character that wants to run through content as fast as possible, you want to get more matching orbs, which you want to run something like that. I mean, even with Katakuri, sometimes you want to get matching orbs instead of damage reduction because his captain ability already has damage reduction. It depends, but typically, you know, the mixture of those 6 in particular sockets are the ones you'd want to go for. There's way too many questions here, man. Look how many questions there are, man. I'm not going to be able to get to everyone's question because we really have to go ahead and check out some of the YouTube comments as well. So unfortunately, I'm sorry I couldn't reach everyone. I really wish I could. Otherwise, we'd be here for like 10 hours. But I appreciate everyone for putting in their questions. As I said, I want to do this more in the future. So we're going to go ahead over, and again, we've got 541 comments here. We are not reaching 541 comments. As I said again, I apologize, but I was not expecting this many comments to come through. Next time, we'll be a little bit more prepared, only doing it on one platform, and we'll go from there. But anyways, let's go ahead and do this, right? So, Crucifer says, hypothetically speaking, if we got a Boa, Robin, and Nami team unit, which is never going to happen, by the way, who do you think Bandai would give the bigger chest? I think we all know the answer to that question. Who do you think is the most underrated legend in the game? And who is the most overrated legend in the game? Who's the most underrated legend in the game? Underrated? Okay, look, okay, I'll have to have a look at the legend list here. Let's have a look here. Rarity, let's go by this. Okay, who is the most overrated and underrated character in the game? Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Okay, Bo was really good, but I think a lot of people understand that she's good. Sugar, I don't think Sugar is overrated or underrated. I think she's rated kind of perfectly in the community. Hawkins, I'd say Hawkins might be underrated. I know a lot of people hate Hawkins. I don't like Hawkins either. I don't like the way that he's built. But a lot of people do underrate him because he actually can clear like nearly everything in the game, despite his captain effect being a 3 times captain, 2.75 times otherwise. He might be one of the most underrated legends in the game. Who else is underrated / overrated? This is really tricky actually, because I think a lot of these characters are kind of, you know, they kind of fit everywhere in terms of where they should be. Like Sober Mask, I think a lot of people realize at this point that Sober Mask, he's fine as a captain, but he's not like the best as a captain. No HP, no damage reduction is kind of trash, so it is what it is. Oh, Komarasaki. High key, I think Komarasaki is one of the most underrated legends in the game. She is really, really good with damage reduction and also healing with perfects, a 2x attack and orb boost, and a full board of matching orbs with her special ability. That's pretty absurd. I think she might be one of the most underrated legends in the game. But in terms of like overrated, like, I don't know if any of these in the community are kind of like considered like really good and I just don't like them. Like, I'm not a big fan of Sugo, but I can respect what she does, right? I know that she's really good. But are any of these characters like considered really high tier that I don't think deserve to be high tier? No, probably not. I think everyone's kind of rated fairly in the community at this point. There's no character that I think is like really high tier that doesn't deserve to be there, honestly, at this point. I think that's kind of fair, but underrated, definitely Komarasaki for sure. Who do you think Tome abilities that people don't use anymore, such as map damage resistance, or why do you think that these ones still exist? I don't know. It would be cool if they did overhaul that system, but it's the fact that characters in the game, like some people have already fed those type of tomes to characters, so it would mean they have to go through every single character in a character box and change it over to a new one if they did hypothetically change it. So I don't really know, honestly, but it would be cool. Like, hypothetically, what if they did like a socket tome for paralysis reduction? Like, that would be pretty cool. Like, if you had like level 3 on it, like it just resists 3 to 5 turns of paralysis all the time, dude. That would be so broken. Like, an ability like that would be amazing. But as for why they still exist, I don't know. They're there. They're just there, man. If there is anything, what do you think would completely kill the game, either for just you or the majority of the community? What would completely kill the game? If they stopped making content. I don't know. Like, is there something that they would literally do that would be like, oh no, that's it, I'm not playing anymore? If they changed the rates, if they made the rates worse, if they increased the prices of gems, something along those lines. Probably anything to do with like altering Sugo Fest and making it more difficult to get characters. Probably that. Something along those lines, yeah, for sure. Can you do a guide of how to come back to OPTC? I quit the game about a year ago and want to play again, but what the fuck? This game looks completely other than usual. I don't really know what you mean by that. Like, it is a lot different. Like, if you take a break and come back, you know, hypothetically, if it's been like a year, yeah, I can completely understand that. I mean, what is the best way to get back into the game? Now, I have seen this through a lot. Now, I have been wanting to do this for a while, like make a video on how to come back to OPTC or a beginner's guide. The only problem is every time I get around to like, I sit down, I'm like, okay, let's make a video on how to do this. I always like hit a roadblock and I think, okay, where do I even start? Because Treasure Cruise is such a complex game and I don't even know where to begin. Maybe you guys in the comment section might have a better structure of video for this, because in my mind, if I'm doing a video on like a beginner's guide or a returning player's guide, that video would go for like an hour. Just explaining everything, what every little ability does. Dude, it would be like a really long video series or something like that. Like maybe if I did hypothetically like a beginner's guide, like episode 1, how to download Treasure Cruise, episode 2, story mode, episode 3, Sugo Fest or summons. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a better idea. Leave down below in the comment section some ideas about that, because as I said, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, but it's always, I hit a roadblock and I just don't know where to begin, basically, with something as large a task as this, because I know it would definitely help out the community, because a lot of people just feel overwhelmed with Treasure Cruise when they get back into the game. So yeah, I can understand what you mean by that, Casual Norris, and I would love to do something like that. And even recently, I've been really busy, but I am coming to the end of this semester, so yeah, I will have a lot more time on my hands very, very soon. So yeah, I would like to do something like that. Anyway, our next question: it's high time for Odin to show up as a Sugo Fest exclusive character. Yeah, I completely agree. Second question, can they add other languages like German, Spanish? It's easier. Yeah, they should probably do that. Though, it's a pretty big task for them to just overhaul the entire game in a different language. That would take a lot of time and effort and a lot of resources that they might not have. I would prefer them to spend more resources in improving the game rather than adding an additional language. Though, I do admit that the German and the Spanish sides of things, like the German and Spanish community, have been amazing supporters of One Piece Treasure Cruise since the game's inception, and it would be nice if they gave a little bit more support to those languages. I completely agree, yeah, for sure. Next question, do you think they will add a feature so that we can search for a specific friend captain even if your captain is different? Because it's really annoying. Hey, we had a very similar question to that before. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but as I said, you know, comparing the friend system on Treasure Cruise compared to other gachas, Treasure Cruise is in a pretty good spot. But yes, that specific problem, yeah, I do also hate that. Benson says, if the game was to do another collab with Dokkan, what kind, or what are some of the series that you would love to see OPTC collab with? I mean, outside of Dokkan, like, and Dragon Ball, like, it has to be another really big series, and I feel like because of the nature of the previous crossover, I feel like it would have to be another, like, Bandai game. And I can't think of another Bandai gacha game that's as big as, like, Dokkan or Treasure Cruise. Like, maybe Naruto Blazing, but Naruto Blazing sucks. Oh, Naruto Blazing sucks. Anyways, next question. I think a good question is about Tandem Attacks. We still have the Tandem Orb, but few or less combinations. I would have a rework of that mechanism in order to make the game more interesting. What do you think? No, I don't think it needs an overhaul. I think if they were going to do an overhaul, they would have done it by now. I still think that the Tandem slot in the game right now is literally only going to be used by, like, very specific characters, right? You know, Luffy Zoro, they changed Tandem Orbs into Wano slots. Legend Kid turns Tandem slots into Bomb Orbs, treats them as beneficial, whatever you have. I think characters just manipulate Tandem Orbs to change them into a different type of slot is what they should be doing moving forward, and they should just use it and treat it as, like, beneficial orbs, and just use it in different ways like that. Even, like, the new German character treats them as beneficial, gives you a full world of Tandem Orbs, and it's kind of like the Tandem slot is for, like, you know, team-based mechanics, and the German double 6 unit, and a lot of the German characters actually utilize tandem slots, right? You know, even like the V2 German batch, Sober Mask, for example, utilize tandem because, like, it's like a tandem, like, it's a group of people working together, like the German, right? So they're just probably just going to be using it like that in the future. There's no real reason to rehash the tandem mechanic. As I said, they've got a lot of resources for Treasure Cruise, and they should probably use those resources to make the game better, not rehashing mechanics that a lot of people probably don't care about. Even if they did introduce new tandem mechanics, and even if they are good, you have to have very, very specific characters in your team in order for it to work. No, I don't think they should really touch the tandem mechanic. I think it's fine that it's not really used in the game that much anymore. That might be an unpopular opinion, but that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Should Tomato Gang finally be one of the top tier characters in Treasure Cruise, and which character are you missing in the game? Am I missing? Who's Tomato Gang? I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Tomato Gang? I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, RG Videos. I'm sorry, man. Bentley Bradley says, who do you think is the best all-round unit for Rumble right now on Global? Best all-round unit? Probably V3 Katakuri. And I may be a bit biased, but he's really good. Like a unit you can whack on any team and he'll still do well. Yeah, I think V3 Katakuri. His passive is very good. He buffs Int, which obviously is not going to buff everyone in your team, but he'll buff himself, and he debuffs Psy with his passive, and his special ability is fixed damage, 2200 fixed to all enemies, and he debuffs Free Spirit, Powerhouse, and Cerebral characters. That is awesome. For fixed damage against every single character, a pretty good amount of fixed damage, mind you, and debuffing 3 classes in the game, and then a 4th type as well with his passive. I think V3 Katakuri is the best all-round unit in Pirate Rumble right now. He just debuffs a lot, he does a lot of damage, he buffs himself, like, he's a really good unit. That's my opinion. I mean, you got, like, Doflamingo, for example, Carrot's really good for fixed damage, Kuzan's really good for just absolutely destroying teams. There's a lot of good units out there right now, but I think V3 Katakuri, in my eyes, has been one of the best characters that I've been able to use in Pirate Rumble right now. Who do you think deserves a V2 more, Sengoku or Marco? Sengoku for sure, because Marco already has a dual unit with Whitebeard, Sengoku's got, like, nothing, so a V2 Sengoku would be well appreciated. Also, isn't it weird that we don't have units for Shinobu, Queen, Hyo, Yasui, Kamazo? Yeah, it's because it's, like, relatively recent in the anime, and I don't think they're going to just rush in for Wano Kuni and get a character out for every Wano Kuni character that drops, because they're going to slowly release Wano Kuni characters. There's no real reason to release all of them straight away, because then it kind of, like, loses hype, you know? We're still waiting for certain characters to come out for Treasure Cruise, and I think if they just continuously, slowly leak out some of those characters, I think that's a better way to do it rather than just, you know, already automatically rush them out as soon as they appear in an anime episode. That's what they should do. I think what they're doing right now is fine. If they had a legend come out for all new characters, who would you rather have in the game and why? Like, again, it's a little bit broad of a question, but like all new characters. Well, if you're talking about like, if you want a legend for a character that isn't a legend yet, I mean, again, Kuma, Moria, Odin, those specifically I want to see. Aiden says, I unfortunately never got the last orb for Kizuna Carrot. Will I ever get a chance to get that last orb, or do Kizuna characters only appear once? No, they don't appear once, but it's very uncommon for them to return. So whenever a Kizuna character comes out, you want to max them like ASAP. You want to do them as soon as possible because you just never know when they're going to come back. Like, you could literally wait over a year for a Kizuna character to come back. So you best get that character maxed out as soon as you possibly can for the best. That's what you should be doing. Why in most of the new events we can only use the new characters? You can't use 90% of the characters these days. Well, you can try, but it's not optimal to do so. And why in most new events we can only use the new characters? That's a false statement. No, that's completely false. You can't, like, there's no event that says, oh, you can only use the new badge. There's no event like that. Obviously the new badge helps. It gives you like an advantage, or it gives you more points for an event, but it's not strictly saying you can't use anyone but these characters. And you can't use 90% of the characters these days. That's true to an extent, but like, there are still older characters that are still used. Like, maybe the support abilities are really good, but like using all characters on your crew, you know, a lot of the characters are really bad. Like characters in 2015, 2016, 2017, they're really, really bad. You're not going to use them. And obviously, when they first released, they were relatively useful. Like, even like Rare Recruit Sandersonia and Marigold, when they first released, they were like the most broken Rare Recruits in the game. Is anyone really utilizing Marigold and Sandersonia anymore? I mean, maybe sometimes in a very niche piece of content, but most of the time, probably not. It just goes to show that's the power creep of the game moving forward. It's quite common. Next question, how important is limit breaking, and should I make it a priority over special levels? No, special levels are definitely more important than maxing your limit break, because if your special levels are not maxed, then good luck getting through content. That is going to suck. But limit breaking is also becoming a more and more important thing. I mean, like, limit breaking is like a standard at this point. If your characters are not limit broken, obviously you lose out on a lot of really cool abilities. Some characters only get really specific crewmate abilities only when they're limit broken. So yeah, limit breaking is very important in this game now, and especially like some characters with their potential abilities will get double special activation, reduce cooldown at the start of the quest. Sometimes slot bind is really, really useful to have. Recovery bind resistance is really useful to have. Sometimes you need those very specific effects. So yeah, limit breaking is quite important, but you know, maxing the special level of a character is also very important. You need to be doing all of these things. Next question, why isn't there a dual legend of Usopp and Soul of the Merry-Go? Because that seems a little silly. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't know if that would ever be a character. No, I don't think so. But I do think, like, more Usopp representation as a Sugo Fest exclusive, I think that would be really cool. Like a V2 Usopp, for sure. I would love a V2 Usopp. Yeah, give me more of that stuff. Next question, I missed the Cavendish quest to limit break him. Cavendish quest. Oh, the treasure hunt event. Will he come back, or did I lose him forever? Well, I don't think he's ever returned on JP, so you're likely not gonna have a chance to do that for a very long time, unfortunately. If you did miss him, that's your own fault, because he was here for quite a long time. He was here for an entire week. So if you didn't get a chance to do it, then I would say you're not gonna be able to get him maxed out for a pretty long time, unfortunately. When is the next best time to use your potential ability tablets during special level or super success? Okay, yeah, so as we've already established throughout the video, potential ability tablets do not get increased rates during double skill up, unfortunately. So yeah, whenever you have a chance to use them, you just need to use them, basically. After we complete stages in the normal map, how to earn gems after that? It sucks having no gems for Sugo pools. Again, if you're free to play, you gotta save them, dude. You gotta save them. You can't be spending your gems on every single banner because you're just not gonna have all your gems for the massive celebrations. Your other best bet is to buy them. Unfortunately, it's the way the gachas work, dude. Next question, do rookie recruitment quests and other rookie events have a time limit, such as recruiting Kid Reiju? No, I don't think so. Or at least I don't really know. I mean, for the rookie requests, I personally don't need to do them, but I haven't looked into them. But I would say that the rookie recruitment quests are going to be here like permanently. So if there's any specific one you really want to get, make sure to go ahead and just do it as soon as you possibly can. Like, go out of your way to do it. Just ensure you have the character, because like that Kid Reiju has a really useful support effect and was used in a lot of content. So yeah, make sure to get that done. Why are Bandai so money hungry? Because they're a company that tries to make profit. For example, putting the new character box behind a paywall. I don't want to hear anything about being on global and therefore less player than Japan has. Putting character box behind a paywall? Are you saying like using gems for character box? That's quite a common thing in gacha games. Well, in older gacha games. More recent gacha games have kind of fixed that a bit, but it's not very uncommon for this to be a thing. There should be some type of extra reward system that gives you extra missions to increase your character box. It could be coming down to a choice of an app each month, like here's a quarter character box mission, or do you want to choose X character, choose X as a prize instead? Okay, so you're saying like maybe like there's a reward for more character boxes, like a free thing? Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. Yeah, I'd be down for that for sure. I mean, I know that they recently released an increased expansion for character box. I have not purchased any yet, but yes, I can understand where you're coming from. And like basically, you gotta remember that we get 2 to 3 gems per day for free just by logging in, doing like daily quests and stuff like that, right? So you can legit just like, so if we get hypothetically 3 gems per day, that's 21 gems per week. Like, it's not a bad thing to spend 1 or 2 gems per week on character box. Like, that's gonna go a long way, right? You know, that means like, you know, every month you'll be expanding your character box space by like what, 40 spaces if you do that. Like, that's pretty good. So that's one way you can think about increasing your box space slowly over time, and it will add up, right? So that is another way you can think about it. Will there ever be a new type of character card, like not duo or normal, just different? Again, it's such a broad question. I don't really know how to answer that one. New type of character card, like not duo or normal, just different. Like, again, it's like such a weird question, man. I'm sorry. I don't really know where you're going with that. I mean, like there's regular legends, there's dual units, there's super type. If you're saying like a new mechanic like that, I mean, there's captain actions as well, but like another new mechanic, maybe, I don't know. I don't really know. I think it's fine the way that it is right now with normal, super type, dual unit, captain action. I mean, those current strategies that they have for building characters, I think is quite good. Do you think that sometime in the future we'll have 2x success limit break tablets? I mean, again, this is quite a common question actually, but yeah, as we said, you know, during double skill up, that should be active. We need to start a petition to stop giving us training drinks and treasure maps. Give us the tickets instead. People who need drinks can buy them from the TM shop. It kills me every little time. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of funny because before Limit Break expansion was a thing, it was actually the reverse. A lot of people had materials, but no one had potions. It was actually the reverse. And then when they started introducing expansion, it flipped. And everyone had potions, but no one had materials. So they have a problem with balancing that. And they definitely need to fix it. I think there needs to be easier ways to get materials, like maybe a new island farmable on extra island, like we've already established in this video. Something like that would be really, really good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this one. In Rumble, when you rank the top 5,000 in Block A and you see Enter Championship stamp, do you need to keep ranking in top 5,000 in Block B and C in order to compete? No. If you rank in the top 5,000 of Block A, B, or C, one of them, you do not need to play the other blocks. So yeah, if you rank top 5,000 in Block A, you don't even need to touch Block B or C at all. You're guaranteed your spot in the championship, so that's fine, right? It's easy, right? Pretty good. Will the rate for skulls on ambush be raised? I don't know. I heard JP's rate for skulls was higher than globals, but I don't know. Again, I'm not really too sure about this one either. I personally feel like there are certain ambush quests that give you more skulls, like I feel like the Shanks ambush and I feel like the Cavendish ambush give you the best chances of skulls, from my personal opinion. Whenever I play Whitebeard, I hardly get any. I don't seem to get many on the ambushed Linlin. Out of all the videos of ambushed Linlin that I've done, right, I don't even remember dropping a skull on any of those clips. Maybe one, I don't know. It's not very common. Or even Sengoku. I don't farm Sengoku, he sucks. I mean, he's good sometimes, but yeah, look, I don't know if they'll ever increase it. But yeah, I can understand where you're coming from because those skulls are really useful, for sure. Super evolving characters is very important. Will the tandem mechanic ever be relevant in the future? Nah, probably not. It was interesting at the start, but then they just kind of left it alone because they sucked at building off of that mechanic. The mechanic was really bad at the start. Why do you say literally like 15 times in every video? Are you contractually obliged to do that? I am literally contractually obliged to say literally all the time. Yes, I am. Do you think there is a one team that can consistently clear 90% of the content in the game without optimizing for the abilities of the enemies? I would say no. No, I don't think there is. Maybe. Nah, because some Colosseums are just way too hard, dude. Like, some Colosseums are just a joke. And then if you think of, like, not treasure maps, sorry, like, training forests, nah, I don't see it. I just don't see it, personally. I don't. What do you think how the game evolved over the last few years? What do you think how the game has evolved? Back in the day, oh my god, it's a long one. Oh my god. Back in the day, Sugo Fest exclusives were quite rare and something special, but nowadays we have so many of them, and we're even disappointed when leaving a Sugo Fest without multiple of them. I personally think Bandai should slow down with producing new Sugo Fest exclusive and start focusing on bringing out more content, like new additions to story mode, or just some islands, or even just rare recruits, because I have a feeling some of the new Sugos are quite replaceable and just aren't really unique. Like Vion Katakuri and some other old Sugos. The new Halloween Sugo Fest on JP is a great example of this, why they released 3 legends out of just one event. In my opinion, one Sugo or just some limited time rare recruits would have perfectly done it, but how do you feel about it? Okay, it's a very long-winded one, but yeah, okay, I can agree to an extent. I see, personally, I love when they release new Sugo Fest exclusives, because it can breathe so much life into the game with a new Sugo Fest exclusive. The problem that arises is when they get to a point where a character releases and it's like your typical run-of-the-mill character with no unique mechanics, and just very, very bland characters. And we have definite evidence of that with the most recent release of the latest Sugo Fest exclusive with Shanks. Now, the Halloween Shanks that just got released, he's very good. Like, no one's denying he's a good character, because he is. The only problem is that this type of captain effect, aside from the multipliers themselves, this type of captain effect is not very, like, uncommon. This is a very run-of-the-mill type of unit. Special ability, color affinity, and a chain boost. Like, there's no new mechanic here that really excites the player base. Like, yeah, it's a new Shanks, which is really cool, but the fact is, it's not really that exciting. And, like, if we just compare it to, like, this lore, for example, this lore, the way that he's built, like, he reduces the spare, so you get utility out of that, which I like it when captains have this inbuilt utility effect. And then deals 100 times the damage received in the previous turn as int damage to all enemies at the end of each turn. And, like, this type of effect is really interesting because a lot of really old characters have this in their captain effect, but it's nowhere near as good as this. This is like taking a really old mechanic that everyone's kind of forgotten about and then brought it into 2020 with a much higher multiplier that actually is very useful. And then you can also work that in with having a special ability where protects from defeat for 1 turn, so you can tank a lot of damage and then reflect it back with the captain effect. Like, this is just like a new style of gameplay that really has you thinking on your feet with this type of character. That's what I like. I like characters that make you think about the way that you use them, like the Germa 66. This has been, this character's designed really well. Again, their special ability, they become the captain. This type of mechanic is not something new in the game, but they've brought it into this character, and they've done it in such a way that makes them so interesting, because when they become the captain, they're super effective against all types. Like, that's really cool. So it's a type of Sugo Fest exclusive that you want to run as a sub and then switch into the captain later on, so you get like a huge benefit from that. Luffy Sanji, Luffy Sanji is a really boring unit, but they have a new type of mechanic where you can overfill your HP. Like, that's super interesting. And yeah, they're a really rainbow run-of-the-mill basic ass unit, but I like that they have at least like some type of mechanic that makes them worth using. I mean, even like V3 Boa Hancock with her special ability, applying the Mirror status, like that was a pretty unique style of effect. So those type of things, I like when they try and push the envelope on what's possible in the game, and introducing mechanics that are specific to one character, I think is really, really cool. So as long as they're innovating characters, I'm okay with them running with heaps of different legends in the game. I'm okay with it. But when they get to that point, like with Halloween Shanks, as we just mentioned, a very run-of-the-mill character that doesn't have anything exciting, no one cares. Like, no one really, I mean, I'm sure some people are excited about Halloween Shanks, but most of the people I've seen online do not give a shit about this new Halloween Shanks. The only reason he's exciting is because if you pull him, it makes the Kizuna a lot easier, of course, but I digress. So yeah, that's my opinions on the Sugo Fest exclusives. I don't care if they're released 3 per month. I'm excited about it. That's cool. That's more content for me to make about. Hey, also, how do you feel about the new story mode system with the lower difficulty and the access to every island from the beginning? I think it's good. Really good step for beginner players for getting into the game. And I'd much prefer it if you could choose between 2 or 3 difficulties for story mode with the different amounts of rainbow gems as a completion bonus. I mean, that would be cool. You know, granting more gems for players, that'd be nice. Bit more relevance for story mode. Yeah, because story mode is basically like a really dead game mode. Like, no one really cares about story mode that much. So, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's actually not a bad idea. You know, multiple different difficulties for more gems and stuff. That's kind of cool. All right, so we'll leave this as the last question here with Miguel. So he says, why aren't Crystal Skulls put in the discount anymore on the Bazaar? That's a good point. I actually don't know why they're not doing that. That's very strange. They should definitely do that. You can buy them for 7,500 points, and they usually have 10,000. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done that. They should probably do that. I feel like once per month, you can purchase one of the skulls. They should even discount it down to 5,000, honestly. Like, you know, once per month, you can buy one of the skulls. You know, each of them are like 5,000. They should do that. I guess let's finish it off with one more question. One more question, that is going to be it. From Robin Rath says, I haven't played it in a year, came back 2 days ago, missed the full free multiples, hella mad, yeah, that sucks. And there's just too much that confuses me, but maybe one would be the mechanics of Kizuna and Rumble. Apart from that, a list of legends and other units, but not too long, that are viable, like your tier list. I get, that's a little bit of a long-winded question. Yeah, that's a really difficult one to answer. But in terms of like Kizuna and Rumble, I mean, you could go check out my videos and see how they run through. I'm pretty sure every time one of these new game modes have come out, I've made like a how to Kizuna and how to Rumble video. So you should go check out my YouTube channel for that one. And then you should definitely keep up to date with my tier lists, because my tier lists, I'll be going through like the most relevant characters that are, you know, used by the community, and the ones that will help you clear the most content in most cases. So you should definitely stay up to date with those. But like, I haven't made an updated like rare recruit tier list in a really long time, so I should probably get to doing that at some point. So I really hope that that'll help you guys out. Maybe I'll do that. I'm not too sure when I'll do that, but I think it's something that I should do. So I'm not too sure when I'll do it, but I'll figure something out. But as I said, guys, I really wish I could get to every one of these comments. I'm not really too sure how many comments are like on the tweet here, but there's a lot of people. So I really hope that this video helped you guys out with answering some of your questions that you may have had about One Piece Treasure Cruise. As I said, you know, I really do apologize for not being able to reach all of the questions that were asked in these posts. But I really hope I'm able to do this again in the future to help out some of you guys in the Treasure Cruise schema, and hopefully you guys, you know, get a little bit more knowledge about the game. But yeah, next time I would also prefer questions that are kind of like, you know, how do you do something specifically in Treasure Cruise, like kind of more beginner style questions, because a lot of people were just asking my opinions on things rather than asking how to do things. So I would also prefer questions that are like, you know, how do you do something in Treasure Cruise, rather than what's your opinion on this. So I hope that kind of gives you guys a little bit more of what I was trying to aim for this particular video. But still, I really thank you guys for watching, and if you made it this far, then I appreciate you, really do appreciate you watching the video. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.